Okay, so my name is Kola Wale Toby. In this session of the class, we'll be looking at a very, very important topic under the performance and management accounting. That topic is called the divisional performance evaluation. Yeah. So basically, when we say divisional performance evaluation, the first thing is that we should be able to know what is a division, because it's very, very important to know what a division is. Yeah, very, very important. Now, a division involves decentralization of decisions, making powers to divisions, and hence the division achieving some degree of autonomy. Now, that is what a divisionalization is talking about. What is it talking about here is this. If you in a large organizations, basically, when organization is being decentralized, when I say decentralized means that organization has several segments where their operational activities are being conducted. So now a division is a process where some aspect of that particular organization is being decentralized, for more efficiency, and so that we can give a degree of autonomy to each of those aspects or segment of that business organization. Now, of course, a division is talking about just a segment of a business organization. Now, a division can be in form of a branch, can even be in form of a subsidiary and all that. That is what a division is. And why do we divisionalize now? Of course, the essence of divisionalization is so that we can decentralize the decision making of that business organization, so that we can give some aspect of that business organization a degree of autonomy, of independence. So that is the essence of what we call divisional performance evaluation. Because you see, for you to kind of concentrate, there are consequences or there are effects or impact of concentrating powers of that organization into one segment. So for more efficiency, for more effectiveness, it's good for an organization to decentralize their operational activity by giving some aspect of that business organization a degree of independency. So that is the essence of what they call division. So a division is just a segment, or is a segment of a business organization that is mostly not located within the head office of that business organization. Is called the division. So that is that. And most of the divisions, as I said, most of the times actually are not located within the operational environment of that head office of that organization. Yeah. So we call them division, and can even be in form of branch and all that. The essence is so that we can decentralize the decision making, the powers of that organization into smaller units of that organization. That is why we decentralize instead of centralizing the organization, which means giving power to only one segment of that organization. So that is the essence of decentralization. So now we want to look at what are the advantages of decentralization, because you see, you cannot talk about divisionalization, without talking about decentralization, because it's very, very important, as I said earlier. You cannot talk about divisionalization, you must talk about what you call the decentralized, because the essence of divisionalizing a business organization is so that we can, decentralize the powers and the decision making of that organization into smaller units. That is the essence of why organizations decentralize their operations or their operational activities and all that. So now, let's look at now what are the advantages or merits of decentralization or divisionalization. Why do companies want to actually divisionalize? Why do companies want to decentralize their operations? Why do companies want to? Because it's actually very, very important. So one of the advantages of decentralization is that it creates greater responsiveness to local needs. Now, what we say it creates a greater responsiveness to local needs is that most of the times when a business organization decentralize their operation, actually they are giving opportunity to, to those divisions to actually kind of gather information, that will be needed for the organization as a whole. So that is why, organization has what you call a subunit, which means all those manager of those divisions, basically has a way of, creating information that will be a kind of betterment. Because if organization has 5 divisions, division A, B, C, by the time you decentralize this division, this division has a way of bringing a kind of information for the needs of the, organization as a whole. Why? Because most of the times, when organization needs something, need a kind of information, those information can actually be found from those divisions, and that division, can actually respond in terms of, actualization of every or any information that is obtained from the local environment. So that is one of the advantages, why we need. The second reasons why divisions are very, very important is that division, divisionalization lead to quicker decision making. Yeah, which means an organization that give a lower level of managers, you have to, okay, lower level of managers, the responsibility for making decision, can make decision quickly. What are we talking about? You should know that anytime a business organization decentralize their operations, each of those divisions basically are headed by what they call managers. So, which means anytime, organization decentralize the operation, they are actually given the lower level of managers, to actually participate, in the decision making of that particular organization. Yeah, you are actually given that those lower level of manager to participate in the decision making of that organization. So that is why it's actually very, very, because at that moment, decisions actually are done or make in a faster way, quickly. So that is why it's actually very, very important, or it's one of the advantages of that. Then of course, one of the advantages is that it increases motivation. Yeah, the divisional managers are usually, more highly motivated when they can exercise greater individual initiative. So of course it's that, because remember, is that the essence of this divisionalism is that most of the times there's a degree of autonomy that is actually given to what you call those divisional managers. So when a divisional manager is given a kind of level of autonomy or independency to exercise or take some level of decision, actually you are indirectly motivating that manager to perform well. So that is the reason why decentralization is actually very, very important. Then of course, also the fourth one is that it aids management development and learning. Yeah, giving managers more responsibility promotes development of an experienced pool of management talent, and a pool that the organization can draw from to fill the higher level of management. So that's basically, you are actually that organization, is indirectly, developing the talent and the initiative of those lower level of managers by the time you give them a level of autonomy to operate within their divisions. Yeah, because they'll be able to actually bring their own initiative to bear into that particular division. So that's why to decentralize, to divisionalize your organization is actually very, very important. Then of course, the fifth one is that it sharpens the focus of managers. In a decentralized setting, the manager of a small unit or division has a concentrated focus. Yeah, so a small unit is more flexible than a larger, subunit and all that. So these are the various, various advantages, the merit of decentralizing or divisionalizing a business organization, which means to actually give an autonomy, a degree to segment your business organization into smaller units. That is by giving, a degree of autonomy to such manager who are saddled with the responsibility of managing their own divisions. So now we want to now look at what are the problems, what are the demerits, what are demerits of what they call the decentralization. What are the problems, or the merits of decentralization of a business organization? We want to look at now those merits. Of course, you know that one of the merits, the merit or disadvantage of decentralization is that it can increase cost. Yeah, it actually increase cost. Why? Because the more you segment a business organization into smaller units, you are actually going to more of a has a way of duplicating most of those costs into such smaller divisions. So it's actually going to increase the cost for that business organization. And also one of them is that it can lead to what called suboptimality. A divisional general manager will not necessarily pursue the best interest of the business organization as a whole. So most of the times now, to actually decentralize, it can lead to what we call the suboptimality. So in that case, most of the times when you decentralize, the divisional manager might not going to be able to actually pursue, because at the end of every objective of divisionalization or decentralization is that so that each of those divisions can actually pursue the objective of the whole organization as a whole. So one of the major problems of this decentralization is that a divisional manager might not be able to pursue the objective of the organization as a whole. He might just focus on the objective of that division only, instead of focusing on the objective of that business organization as a whole. So that could be one of the disadvantages, and also the third one, it can result into duplication of operational activities. Yeah. So which means most of the times when companies divisionalize or decentralize their operations, that operations they decentralize can lead to what they call a duplication of activities and all that. So those are three major disadvantage or problems associated with decentralization or divisionalization and all that. So now we want to now look at what they call the responsibility accounting. That is what we want to look at now. Responsibility accounting. Yeah, that's another state topic under responsibility accounting. Of course, when we say responsibility accounting is a term that is used to describe a system of decentralizing decentralized authority with performance of decentralized unit measured in terms of accounting result. Now, what are we saying here is that, remember we said every division within that organization, every division will have a divisional manager. Every division will have a divisional manager. And you know that those divisional manager, each division basically has a particular business activity is expected to undertake or carried out, that will represent the interest of the organization as a whole. So when we say responsibility accounting is a way you can measure, is a way we can measure, describe the system of decentralizing, authority with the performance of decentralized units measured in terms of accounting, result, which means anytime you see, remember as I said initially that each of those divisions has a particular, operation that is expected to undertake. So yeah, has a particular operation that is expected to undertake. Now that expectation or that activity that division is expected to operate or undertake is what we call the responsibility accounting. Yeah, that activity that division is expected or required, by the organization as a whole to undertake is basically what you call the responsibility accounting. So how do we describe now here? How do we describe each of these? How do we describe each of these division now? And in what language terminologies are we going to use to describe the activities of each of these? So now let's look at what are the types of responsibility accounting now? Types of responsibility accounting. Types of responsibility accounting. Of course. So what are those types? What are those forms? What are those aspects of this responsibility accounting? Of course, The first one I want to look at is the cost center. Cost center. Cost center. Yeah, cost center. Now, a cost center is a department or a section or a fraction over which a delegated individual has responsibility for expenditure. Cost center are relatively, simple and consist mainly of location at which costs can be separately identified and collected. Now, what you're talking about here is that which means there are some aspects of that division that are basically cost center. When we say cost center now, maybe a particular division can be responsible for, the incurring cost for that organization. So which means maybe that division is not actually, generating profits. Any department or any division that is responsible for incurring cost for that organization as a whole, that particular division can be classified as a cost center. Maybe that division does not generate any revenue for that organization. So that a particular, division cannot be called, a revenue center. Rather, that division can be called only a cost center because that particular division is only responsible for incurring costs for the organization as a whole. So that is the essence of the cost center. Any department, any division or section of that organization that is responsible for incurring costs for that organization or division, that division is called a cost center. A division can be responsible for incurring only costs for that business organization. So which means that division can be called what? A cost center. So that is that. Then the second one is called the profit center. Profit center.